Welcome to Royal Daily Report, your trusted source for royal news and updates. I'm your host, bringing you the stories that matter. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update from Royal Daily Report. For many years, Meghan Markle's story has been covered in sparkle, mystery, and the kind of quiet that makes people want to know more. But staying quiet has a strange way of becoming louder the longer it goes on. And this time, that quiet didn't end because of the palace. It didn't end because of the media. It ended from a place no one thought it would. Samantha Markle, Meghan's own sister, finally came forward. Not with anger, not with mean words, but with something much more powerful. Clear facts. She talked about rumors that had been floating around quietly for years. The idea that Meghan may have had a hysterectomy when she was just 28 years old. A surgery that doesn't just change your life, it changes what's medically possible. Samantha didn't shout. She didn't make it dramatic. She said one thing calmly and simply. People need to look at the timeline. Nothing makes sense unless you know the truth. And just like that, the door opened a little. Behind it wasn't screaming or drama. It was confusion. Pregnancies that didn't act like pregnancies. Children who rarely showed up in public. Moments that felt wrong but were never explained. And an article that suggested something huge but offered no proof. That was the moment the story changed. Because once someone tells you to look at the timeline, you can't stop looking. And once you start looking, you realize the silence wasn't empty at all. It was hiding something. Remember to subscribe to Royal Daily Report for more updates like this. Here's where the story takes a big turn. Samantha didn't talk about clothes or interviews or news headlines. She talked about something medical, something that can't be undone. She mentioned rumors that Meghan had a hysterectomy when she was just 28 years old. Now, stop and think. Take away the drama. Take away the gossip. This isn't hard to understand. A hysterectomy means the uterus is removed. No uterus means no pregnancy. Not hard to get pregnant. Not high risk. Impossible if that surgery happened. Then every pregnancy story that came after doesn't just create questions. It falls apart. Because biology doesn't change for anyone. It doesn't care about titles, cameras, or fairy tales. And here's the important part. Samantha didn't say, "Believe me." She didn't say, "Trust my word." She said, "Look at the timeline." Because once you do, you're forced to face a simple truth. Either the surgery never happened, or the pregnancies couldn't have happened. There is no in-between here. And that's when the story stopped being gossip and started becoming a logic puzzle. No one could solve without bringing in a new explanation. So if pregnancy was impossible, but children exist, there's only one path left. Surrogacy. And let's be clear, surrogacy itself is not a scandal. In most families, it's celebrated. It's talked about openly. The woman who carries the child is honored, protected, and thanked. But Meghan wasn't living an ordinary life. She was inside a royal system where bloodlines aren't emotional, they're legal. Where succession rules aren't flexible, they're hundreds of years old. And in that world, how a child enters the family matters just as much as the child themselves. Royal rules are very specific. An heir must be born from the mother's body. If a surrogate is used, it must be formally announced, documented, recorded. No secrets, no shortcuts. And that's where everything gets tight. Because if surrogacy was used and never told to anyone, then this isn't about privacy. It's about lying. Not a moral mistake, but breaking rules. A quiet rewriting of rules that were never meant to bend. Admitting surrogacy wouldn't just damage an image, it would completely destroy the story. And that's the moment the audience is left hanging with one question they can't ignore. If surrogacy was the answer, who carried the children? Stay tuned to Royal Daily Report. We bring you the truth. This is where the real story finally starts. Just when the story felt like it had reached its end, a new voice came in. And this one changed everything. Her name is DL. No hidden face, no shadow, no shaky voice. She didn't whisper. She didn't hide. She looked straight ahead and said the sentence that froze the entire story in place. I carried Archie, and I carried Lilibet. Not helped, not assisted, not donated. Carried. DL said she wasn't a background person or a quiet helper. She was the woman whose body went through the pregnancies while Meghan Markle appeared in public with a growing baby bump. According to DL, that bump was never hers. She described being promised protection, privacy, and respect. What she got instead was silence, control, and being erased. She said she wasn't treated like a mother or even like a woman. She was treated like a container, something to be used, then locked away. And here's the part that made people stop breathing. DL didn't come forward with just a story. She came forward with receipts. Not opinions, not memories, evidence. That's when this stopped sounding like guessing and started sounding like testimony. DL said she knew exactly how unbelievable her claim would sound, so she didn't expect anyone to just take her word for it. Instead, she brought documents. She described appointment records, embryo implantation schedules, doctor signatures, and detailed medical progress notes. Not loose papers, not unclear memories. Official records, dated, stamped, organized. And the timing? That's where things clicked into place. Every major medical milestone in DL's pregnancy lined up with a public announcement from Meghan and Prince Harry IVF. Cycles starting just before royal press releases. Implantation dates matching with pregnancy confirmations. First trimester symptoms matching the exact moment Meghan first appeared with a visible bump. DL said the records came from a Beverly Hills fertility clinic passed to her by a former insider. And when laid side by side with a public timeline, the match was almost perfect. 2 stories, same dates, same rhythm, same milestones. Except only one of them involved an actual pregnancy. Don't forget to subscribe to Royal Daily Report for exclusive royal coverage. This is where the story becomes shockingly simple. According to DL, there were always 2 timelines running at the same time. The first was the one everyone saw. Red carpets, smiling photos, stylish maternity outfits, carefully planned appearances designed to show the world a glowing, easy pregnancy. The second timeline was hidden. Quiet clinic entrances, controlled schedules, hormone treatments, ultrasounds, doctor visits, a real pregnancy happening behind locked doors inside DL's body. She said she was approached just weeks after the royal wedding, taken through private entrances, handed a thick contract filled with secrecy rules and anonymity requirements, then placed into a medical program that ran with military-like precision. Every appointment she attended lined up with a moment Meghan appeared in public. When DL felt morning sickness, Meghan showed a bump. When DL entered her second trimester, Meghan's pregnancy became official news. One woman was living the pregnancy. Another was performing it. 2 stories moved together, but only one of them was real. And once you see that, the question is no longer if something was hidden. It's how far the hiding went and who helped keep it buried. Once DL explained the pregnancies, the next question was obvious. Why didn't anyone hear from her sooner? Her answer was simple. Silence was built into the deal. DL described a contract so thick and detailed, it felt designed to erase her. Page after page focused not on care, not on safety, but on secrecy. No photos, no statements, no claims, no identity. And sitting right at the center of it all was a sealed NDA, demanding silence forever. Not silence for a few years, silence for life. She said the document came with serious consequences. Break it, and you lose everything. Financial ruin, legal threats, total isolation. According to DL, the agreement wasn't meant to protect privacy. It was meant to control her. Then came the money. DL revealed bank statements showing quiet wire transfers sent through shell companies. The payments followed a pattern. Same days, similar amounts, always discreet. She said the funds were tied directly to the surrogacy agreement, managed through financial handlers connected to Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's inner circle. But here's the twist. DL claims she was never fully paid. That matters because unpaid agreements don't just break trust, they crack silence. And once silence cracks, stories spill out. Royal Daily Report, bringing you the stories others won't tell. This is the moment where even doubters stop. DL didn't just talk about paperwork. She talked about ultrasounds. 2 of them, both stamped with her patient ID. Both showing active pregnancies, and both dated so precisely they matched Archie's 2019 birth and Lilibet's 2020 arrival almost to the day. No guessing, no unclear time, just medical timestamps that lined up with public announcements like puzzle pieces clicking together. According to DL, these weren't copies floating around online. These were original files tied directly to her medical record. And when placed next to Meghan's pregnancy milestones, announcements, appearances, official statements, the overlap was almost disturbing. Same timing, same progression, same outcomes. Except the ultrasounds didn't belong to Meghan's body. They belonged to DL's, And that's the moment the story stops feeling like gossip and starts feeling like math. Because numbers don't argue, dates don't exaggerate, and medical records don't care who you are. They just tell the truth. Once DL spoke, old footage started to feel different. There was that moment people remembered but never fully understood. Meghan bending forward at a public event, smiling, graceful, and then the baby bump folding sharply inward, almost like fabric collapsing. At the time, it was brushed off. A strange dress, a bad angle, a trick of the camera. But context changes everything. With DL's claims on the table, that moment snapped into focus. Because real pregnancy bumps don't fold like that. They don't collapse. They don't crease. DL didn't brag about it. She didn't dramatize it. She simply said, it wasn't her pregnancy. It couldn't be. It was mine. And suddenly, what once felt awkward started feeling revealing, because when you know a performance is happening, you start noticing the scenes. And once you see the scenes, you can't unsee them. But nothing raised more questions than the birth itself. No hospital steps, no doctors smiling for cameras, no medical staff, no royal photo call. Instead, Archie's arrival was announced quietly, awkwardly, with Prince Harry standing near horse stables, speaking nervously, almost like someone delivering secondhand news. At the time, it was called privacy. Now, it feels like strategy. Because here's the truth. No amount of PR can hide. A woman can hide a pregnancy, but she cannot hide labor. Labor leaves records. Doctors, nurses, witnesses, doors opening and closing. William and Kate understood that. Every royal birth before had followed the same visible pattern, but this one didn't. And once DL's story enters the picture, the silence around the birth stops looking accidental. It starts looking protective. Protective of a story that couldn't survive real examination. Subscribe to Royal Daily Report and stay informed. By the end of it all, one thing becomes clear. This wasn't just about keeping something private. It was about keeping something undiscovered. And once a secret reaches this level, it doesn't stay buried forever. That's all for today's report from Royal Daily Report. We've brought you the facts, the timelines, and the evidence that others might ignore. If you found this information valuable, make sure you're subscribed to Royal Daily Report. Hit that like button. Share this video with others who need to know the truth. And turn on notifications so you never miss our next report. This is Royal Daily Report, bringing you royal news that matters. Until next time, stay informed and stay curious.